So ever since Apple redesigned the MacBook Pros and the MacBook Airs, I've been a huge fan of that new design. I like how it got a little bit more boxy, I like how we got MagSafe back, I like how we got additional ports, or at least got those ports back previously from when we got them removed with USB-C. And I especially liked how the bezels on the actual display got much thinner, and how we got 13.6 and 15.4 inch displays, as well as 14 and 16 on the MacBook Pro. But there are two big aspects or features that iPads have had over MacBooks that I've wanted to see come to MacBooks for a very long time, and it looks like they're finally coming. Let's talk about it. So for a few years now, it looks like Apple's been using the iPad Pro lineup as a testing ground or a guinea pig, especially when it comes to display tech, because if it works on the iPad Pro, then eventually it looks like they bring it over to the MacBook Pro lineup especially. And this proves correct pretty recently. The M1 and M2 iPad Pros were the first iPads to get mini LED displays, and that was a huge step forward for display tech on the iPads. But then eventually, they brought that over to the MacBook Pro lineup. And now these M4 iPad Pros moved over to these brand new tandem OLED displays, and Apple was able to make these displays absolutely gorgeous and still make them very bright, even though OLED has never been known to be specifically or especially bright. So now, since it's been working so well on the iPads, it looks like Apple on the MacBook Pros coming up in 2025 and 2026, they're probably going to bring tandem OLED over to these MacBook Pros. And then another great example of this is that with the nano texture display option that we got on the iPad Pro, that first came out on the iPad Pro. Yes, you were able to get it on the Pro Display XDR as well as the Studio Display, but now you can even get it as an option on the brand new MacBook Pros, which wasn't something we were able to get before. But not only that, Apple has been able to make it a cheaper add-on or a cheaper option to add to both the iPad Pro as well as the current version of the MacBook Pros. So with the new MacBook Pros that are coming out probably in 2026, we should be getting not only a new tandem OLED display on there with the option to get a nano texture display, but Apple is rumored to finally get rid of that very ugly notch. Now most people, including myself, have gotten used to the notch on the MacBook Airs and the MacBook Pros because it kind of just hides away after a little while, you forget about it, but I remember being a little bit struck by how much of a notch it was. And not only that, but also the fact that they weren't including Face ID in such a big notch. It was still the normal webcam that Apple's always shipped, just in a gigantic notch, and I don't really know what that design purpose was. Maybe they wanted to align themselves with the iPhones back in the day when the notch first came out to make it a little bit less shocking overall to the lineup, but now iPhones have completely moved away from that notch, so now it looks like Apple's going to be bringing a notchless MacBook Pro display and replacing the notch with a hole punch cutout. And like I said, the fact that we're now able to go OLED does coincide with this idea of a notchless cutout because OLED makes it much easier to physically cut that out and not mess with any of the pixels because they're individually lit pixels to make it very easy to work around. So having a notchless display and only having a nice little cutout is going to be a huge win from a design purpose, and then also it'll help it align with the current iPhone models that have a dynamic island. Now it remains yet to be seen if it's going to be a perfectly symmetrical circle or if it's going to be more of a pill shape compared more so to the current iPhone lineup of the dynamic island, but I still like the fact that we're now getting rid of that pretty ugly notch in my opinion for some sort of cutout. Now my thought process in terms of if that cutout's going to have some sort of Face ID, I'm not 100% sure. I don't believe they'll bring Face ID over to the MacBook Pros. I'm not 100% sure why they haven't brought it over yet and they're still relying on Touch ID, which is definitely fine from a biometric unlock standpoint, but being able to have Face ID on your laptop just sounds like an absolute no-brainer because you're physically not even touching the display. It makes more sense to have Touch ID on an iPad than it does on something like a MacBook Pro, so hopefully Apple does bring Face ID finally to the MacBook Pro lineup, but that remains yet to be seen. But just know that a hole punch cutout will be coming to the actual display of the MacBook Pros, and then eventually it should trickle down to the MacBook Airs. And the second biggest thing that iPads have had over MacBook Pros, or any MacBook for that matter, is going to be data connectivity, especially 5G data. For some reason, I've always thought it was a no-brainer to include some sort of data modem inside of a MacBook, especially the MacBook Air lineup because it's so portable, they're easy to move around, people are always on the go with it. I see people working in the back of cars with their MacBook Airs, I see people working on trains with their MacBook Airs, so putting a data chip in there just seemed like a no-brainer, and for some reason, we're now going into 2025 and Apple is yet to give us that option. But now, since Apple is working on their own in-house 5G modem, which I did mention in the iPhone 17 Air video, if you guys haven't seen that, I'll link that down below. So now it seems like Apple's going to be bringing those in-house 5G modems to their MacBook Pro specifically. I still think it's a mistake to only do it on the Pros. I think they should put it on the MacBook Airs first because those are the more portable machines. They're lighter weight, they're thinner, they're easier to move around. Not to say that the Pros are just exponentially larger, but they are larger, they're a little bit heavier, and a lot of people use their MacBook Pros as almost desktop solutions. But again, it's still nice to have the fact that Apple's going to be bringing 5G modems So we're able to use 5G speeds and 5G internet on the go and be able to work without needing to go to some sort of hotspot or carry around an external hotspot modem or getting something like Starlink on the go. So that's going to be a great little added bonus, which I think has been a long time coming. Now, according to the rumors and some of the things that we've seen online, this isn't going to be in the first generation of that 5G modem. I believe the 5G in-house modem will be coming to the iPhone 17 Air in 2025, and then in 2026, that second version or that second iteration will then come over to the MacBooks. Why Apple's taking so long, I don't really know, but again, the fact that it's now on the horizon at least, I would die to have a MacBook Air with a 5G modem. I would pay $10, $15, $20 a month, and I would pay an additional $150 to $200 at the sticker price to include data on a laptop, because it's just that important for a lot of people, and I think it'll sell like hotcakes, and Apple's going to make a lot of money off of including that in there, because I'm sure having their own in-house 5G modem, working with carriers, I'm sure Apple's going to get a nice little cut of that monthly revenue. So that is what we know so far about the brand new MacBook Pro lineup that should be coming out in sometime 2026, probably early 2027 at the latest. Obviously, we're going to get the latest chip at that point, which will probably be the M5 or the M6, but the biggest thing from a design standpoint is going to be the fact that the display is going to be an OLED display or a tandem OLED with a hole punch cutout for the webcam or some sort of pill design cutout or dynamic island, ideally with Face ID to replace Touch ID on the keyboard. And then secondly, having a 5G in-house modem is going to be something that I think is going to be extremely beneficial. And I know that Apple's going to make this integrate across all your devices, because the way that Apple works, they own all the hardware, they own all the software, and the fact that they're not getting into the 5G modem game, building it in-house, I think is going to be amazing, especially if you're in the Apple ecosystem. It's going to work together with a lot of different devices, and you're going to be able to hotspot and be able to use that 5G modem across all of your devices, which I think is going to be an amazing thing to see overall. But let me know in the comment down below. Have you wanted some sort of data connectivity on your laptop? Has it been something that you've been yearning for? Like I mentioned, I've always wanted it on a laptop. I currently have it on my M4 iPad Pro, which has been amazing. So during road trips and things like that, I don't have to pre-download a bunch of videos for my daughter or pre-download a bunch of stuff to make sure that I have it. I can just log in and use my iPad as normal, because I do have cellular data connectivity, which has been an amazing thing because it's the first time I've actually done that. So let me know in the comment down below what you think. Is it something that you want? Something that you've been wanting? Is it something that's surprising that hasn't been out yet? But that'll do it, everybody. If you made it to the end, leave a little dolphin in the comments down below so I know you made it to the end of the video. And if you want to watch more videos like this one, definitely check out one of these videos right here. But until next time, I'm Fernando, and I'm out of here, everybody. Peace.